Ready? Action!
The Grudge is uniquely Shimizu's world. I mean, it is a world, it's kind of like Walt Disney created Disneyland, Shimizu's created the world of the Grudge.
Well, he's got his own vision for this movie that would be impossible for any other director to replicate.
I know that from the Ghost House perspective, it was absolutely essential that he was involved. He created this, everything from the mythology behind it to the imagery, stylistically, everything is completely his baby.
There just happens to be at this point in time some really good Japanese directors like Hideo Nakata and Takashi Shimizu who really understand and embrace a certain style, a certain aesthetic of horror that is I've heard it described as minimalist, and I think that's a good way of putting it. It's all about suggestion and the suspense, the build, rather than the payoff in a lot of cases. And Shimizu in particular has a way of sort of getting underneath your skin, but he's also not adverse to pounding you over the head every now and walloping you with just this jump out of your seat scare.
He doesn't spend time, sort of long periods, building up to these peaks of scares, and then you'll have valleys where these kind of safe moments where the characters are talking and you know you're sort of getting some story background or some character moments, and then you'll build to the next sort of scare period. With Shimizu, it's just this kind of staccato rhythm of it's relentless, there are no safe places. For me in the first Grudge, when Doug and Karen are sitting in the bus and they're talking and it just feels, in an American horror film, this would be the moment where you're getting a little information about the characters or the story and you're just kind of moving the plot forward. Instead here he threw this image of Kayako's face in the window, which was so jarring and so disturbing in this context that it makes you feel like there's never a safe place in the movie, so you're just tense the entire time.
There are a lot of moments during the shoot that I've noticed where he will create an atmosphere that is completely creepy from pages that aren't creepy at all. And I think some of that stuff is absolutely fascinating when you watch a horror director that's really effective at what he does.
Yes, here we are. We're only on a street that actually is 1 lane wide. Our director.
He's really smart and very funny.
He's like a 7-year-old child. He likes to play pranks on people.
When I first had a meeting with him, and according to him, American babies are hatched from eggs, so.
Shimizu's got a really great sense of humour. When he says a joke, Chia will translate it, but because she's been working with him for so long and she's so used to it, she translates it with such a blank expression on her face and you can't tell whether he's joking or not.
We decided that we're going to go with alligators, not cats anymore.
So you sort of have to look around and see if anyone else starts laughing before you go, ha ha. He did get me last week. I thought I'd be really funny, and in rehearsal I played a prank on everyone and nobody laughed, and I was like, oh gosh, how embarrassing. And he came in with such a blank face and said, you're fired. And I went, I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was serious, and then everyone started laughing.
There was this one shot where I'm just walking down the hallway in the Chicago set. It's not just walking because it's a very creepy moment, but when you're rehearsing that and it's like, it's taking 2 minutes to just walk down a hallway and it's rehearsal, I kind of was like, did a little Charlie Chaplin kick and then kept walking. I was like, can I do that in the take type of thing? And then all of a sudden in my head I was going, oh, I hope he took that as a joke. I hope he thinks I don't really want to do that in the scene, and then like he yells cut and I look at him and he just goes like, hey, let's try it again, and kind of walks away. And I was like, oh man, he didn't think that was a joke. And then I look, and as he's turning away, he does a little Charlie Chaplin kick.
Okay, you seem to be really hot, so why don't you just take off the whole clothes, just strip.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you call my lawyer and we can...
だとしたら、弁護士に電話してください。そこから始めましょう。All right, I'll call your lawyer then.
Much of what I catch in between the shots are him having fun, and it's pretty great because he will you know, in a very joking way, point out little inconsistencies that he doesn't like, but at the end of the day, he really is having fun making this movie, as opposed to the first film, where he was very concentrated, and his focus now is to really create an atmosphere where everybody's really comfortable, and that really shows.
I'd only talked to him on the phone, and I've only seen his movies. So the Shimizu I expected was very different than the one I had met, especially his appearance. I was kind of like, you? I was like, you did those? He's a very kind person. I mean, he doesn't seem weird at all. Like, but the movies are very weird and very horrifying and dark, and he's the total opposite of that. He's like bright, he likes to crack jokes, he's first one in line to eat, you know? It's
Even though he can't necessarily speak English very well, he can definitely let you know exactly what he wants and where he wants it and when he wants it.
I'll do it.
You've got too much energy.
キャラクターとしても普段
As a character and as a normal person.
He has such a clear vision of what he wants. He can come up to us and say, this is what I want from you and from your performance, and this is how I want the shots to look. So he will tell you that straight away, and you do a couple of rehearsals, and bam, you know exactly what he wants.
玄関を窓だと思って見てもらっていいですか
He'll come onto the set with his translator, and I'll, you know, before I'll even say something, he'll say, why don't you put the cup down before you say this line, because I felt like you needed a moment in there. And it would have been something that I was just about to say to him. That's happened more than any time on any film where I could speak the same language as the director.
As soon as it stops, you just go. I got you.
Apple, take one back. Cut.
He wants your hand up in this scene and wants you moving, you know, your eyes down slowly. There is a reason for that.
So it's your timing and his timing
できるだけこういう
So
動
I
きが
just
ない
need to remember to lean back. No moving back and forth.
And so I went and I watched the monitor and I saw what he was trying to do in the setup.
Right. I'm too forward. Yeah, this time you were too forward.
こうなると
I knew when he was fighting for it that it had to be perfect for him, you know, to match his vision. It was like suddenly it was this team effort to get this shot, and we went in there and we did it, and it was kind of like the celebration on both ends, from the actor to the director to the DP on everyone's end, because it was like, we just got a cool shot, we got a scare. Whatever you have to do, contort your body however he needs to do it, because the more you're willing to go for it, the cooler the shot's going to be. And I love that about him.
So relaxing in a way. I mean, I feel like there's a complete permission to experiment, and I feel like he really wants to hear where I'm coming from. If I go into a place and the director says, okay, you know, do whatever, and there's no sense of vision from him, then you sort of feel like you're left out to sea. Of course, on the other hand, if you go in and there's complete control, then I feel like there's that, he doesn't trust the people around him, so that brings up stuff. There's a perfect balance with Shimizu-san, because there's a clear sense of what he sees here. He's got such a vision with this film, but you know, he trusts the people he's hired. So you go in there and you feel like you're being supported, and you feel like that you want to be heard from, and at the same time, I feel supported and I feel trust for his vision. If you want me to,
Can we do two versions?
Yes.
必要な時はもちろんこう映画の中には出てこないバックストーリーとか背景とかを交えてきっとこういう人物でこの前にはこういうことがあったんだろう、こういう家族の中で育ったんだろうとか、そういう話をしながらやるのが好きなんですけど、基本的にはそのシーンのために話してるうちに台本と違うセリフとか動きが出てきてもそれを取り入れながらやるっていう柔らかいスタイルが好きなので、何も言わなくてもできる人はできるって思ったら僕も言葉少なくなっちゃいますし、任せてやっちゃえる状態の時もありますし、人によりますね。この人は今これ以上言っても混乱しちゃうなっていう時にやっぱり僕がああだこうだこううるさく言ってもわからないと思うんで、そのシーンシーンに応じてになる人もいますし、 できるだけその人がやりやすいように合わせようとはしてるんですけど、人によって違ってきます。
Shimizu's done the drill before with the actors, and Shimizu is much more, I think, comfortable with American actors. He understands them a little bit better, and I think because he's worked with American actors now, these actors are more comfortable because he's worked with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jason Barr and Bill Pullman, so he's got some street cred with the actors, so it makes everything a little easier.
Yeah, I think he's hardened and bitter now. It is interesting when you see the difference between American filmmaking and Japanese filming. A lot of the first one was a learning experience for him. And now he knows. Now he knows sometimes you have to shoot things two ways. Sometimes the way American films work, there is this part of it, and sometimes he knows that the Japanese way is better. And so I think that there's a confidence that he has now, and at the same time he has a pressure that he didn't have before, which was how wildly successful his first film was. And I know that he feels the pressure of the integrity of that and making sure that he follows through on that.
だから僕もこのジオンとかグラッチだけじゃなくて、次々何かまた別の面白いもの、それはホラーだけじゃなく別ジャンルでも生み出していかなければなと思ってますけど。
前はどうしてもやはりローバッチの映画ですから手作りでどうしても発想自身もですね、そういうものが多かったんですけれども、やはり非常に大きな観客を相手にしてですね、より大きな恐怖を期待されているというふうなことを認識する中で、やはりより大きなセットを使ったり、そのビジュアルエフェクトを使う中でどういうふうにするかというふうな発想がより豊かになってきたような、そういう感じを受けますから、非常に堂々とですね、要求もしてくれるし、平然と受け止めるし、そういうふうな意味ではかなり監督としての、僕が言うのもおこがましいんですけども。
The most important thing to make a movie scary for the audience is to give them credit for being intelligent film watchers. And I think that's something that Shimizu-san understands innately.
We wanted Shimizu to do it. It took some convincing, I think, but I think the success of the first one and the reactions that it got around the world kind of, I think, may have helped us.
Action!
I think that the plan was always get him if we can.
The audience is excited, and the one thing that I can promise them is that Shimizu won't fail them on delivery.